We are going to explain how to put the main board and the power supply board into the service condition. First of all, please remove the tray by bending the plastic hook located at the rear of the tray. Take the guide plate out at the right side by removing the 2 screws. And remove the 4 screws at the rear panel. Remove 2 screws in the main board. In this condition, you can take the main board up and make it stand to create a service condition for the main board. Next, remove the 2 screws in the power supply board. After that, take the plastic hook out from the board to put the power supply board into the service condition. When you check the board, please put the cloth to isolate the board from the chassis. We are going to explain how to replace the pickup next. First of all, take the clamper holder out by removing the 4 screws. Take the FFC holder out and unlock the hook of the cable connector at the pickup. Then pull the pickup cable out from the connector. Remove 1 screw from the slider shaft to take the pickup out with the shaft. When you put the pickup back to the unit, please be sure to insert the hook underneath the pickup body under the mechanism chassis. Put the cable back into the connector and be sure to lock the connector. Finally, put the FFC holder back to fix the pickup cable firmly. Please be sure that the cable should be coming under the FFC holder, not above the holder. Put the screw back to fix the slider shaft, and finally, put the clamper holder back. Next, we are going to explain how to replace the spindle motor. First of all, remove the cables between the mechanism and the main board. Remove the screws at the 4 corners of the mechanism base. Once you remove the 4 screws, you can take the mechanism out from the chassis. When you remove the FG base, please be sure to press the middle part down to release the lock and slide the FG base out. In this condition, take 3 screws fixing the spindle motor to separate the motor from the chassis. Please make sure to put the servo mechanism in the down position when you pull the motor out from the back side of the mechanism. Next, we are going to explain how to replace the loading motor. First of all, remove the loading belt and remove the 2 screws fixing the loading motor. Then remove the 1 screw in the loading motor board. Once you remove the screw, you can remove the board by taking the plastic hook off from the board. We are going to explain how to replace the cam gear. First, take the spring out at the CD plate and remove the 2 screws in the CD plate. Then remove the CD plate. Take 3 screws out in the shaft holder to remove the shaft holder. In this condition, remove the spring and remove the cam sand. Next, take the twin gears out by removing the screws. When you come to this condition, you can remove the cam gear. When you put the cam gear back, please be sure to locate the end of the yellow groove in the cam gear at the arrow point printed on the mechanism base. After you place the cam gear on the mechanism, please be sure to rotate it and move the mechanism up and down without any problems. When you put the twin gears back, you need to match the position of the gears. When you put the twin gear toward the front, be sure to locate the teardrop hole of the twin gear to the triangle rib of the center gear. Then locate the triangle hole of the other twin gear to the triangle rib of the center gear. Once you confirm the position of the gears are correctly matched, put the screws back to the twin gears. When you put the cam sand back, please turn the gear pulley clockwise until you locate the most inner part of the groove in the cam gear in parallel with the synchro shaft. When you put the cam sand on the cam gear, you need to match the groove and the boss of the cam sand with the switch lever and the groove of the cam gear. Then put the spring back to the cam sand. And put the shaft holder back with the screws. Finally, put the CD plate back with the 2 screws and hook up the spring. Next, we are going to explain how the mechanism position switches work. Here are switch 3 and switch 1. They are engaged with the groove underneath the cam gear and turn on and off as the cam gear rotates. This is switch 2. It is engaged with a group of the cam sound and turns on and off as the cam sound moves right and left. We are going to confirm how the mechanism works from the loading to the tilt operation. In the tray open status, once the tray is pushed in, the cam sound moves and switch 2 turns on. As the loading motor keeps going, the cam gear turns clockwise and the cam sound moves to the right. When the cam sound stops, switch 1 turns off. As the loading motor keeps going, the mechanism base starts moving. At this point, switch 3 turns on. When the servo mechanism is moving up and coming to the up position, the tilt cam and the tilt gear are finally engaged. When the fifth tooth of the tilt cam is engaged, switch 1 turns on, detecting that the disc clamp is completed. As the loading motor keeps going, the tilt cam rotates to push the tilt base up at the front side. When it comes to the tilt neutral position, switch 2 turns off. As the loading motor keeps going once again, the tilt base is tilted more. When switch 1 turns off, the tilt limit is detected. Next, we are going to explain how the pickup position is detected by the switches. There are the inner switch and the outer switch to detect the pickup position. As the pickup moves and the switches turn on and off. When the both switches are off, the pickup is located in the LD position. When the pickup moves toward the inside and turn on the outer switch, it is located in the CDV position. As the pickup moves further and press the both switches to turn them on, it is located in the CD position. As the pickup moves further toward the inside and turn the outer switch off and the inner switch on, it is located in the CD TOC position. After turning the power on, the pickup moves outward and stops when the both switches turn off. Then the pickup starts focusing. At this position, a ld-disc is detected. After that, it moves toward the inside to detect the CD disc. Next, we are going to explain how the tray is changed over between the LD tray and the CD tray. Once you open the LD tray, the pickup moves outward to the LD position and the CD plate comes inside, close to the spindle motor. Once you open the CD tray only, first, the pickup moves to the inside to the CD inside position, and that blocks the CD plate coming inside. As a result, the CD plate remains outside, which releases the lock of the CD tray. Next, we are going to show how to remove the LD tray by turning the pulley manually. When the pickup is located inside, you can eject the CD tray only. As you keep turning the pulley under the tray in the clockwise direction, the mechanism is coming down and only the CD tray is ejected out. In this status, you cannot remove the whole tray. When the pickup is located inside, first of all, you have to move the pickup outward to the LD position by turning the slider motor manually. Please make sure to do this with the mechanism located at the disc clamp position. After you locate the pickup at the LD position, turn the pulley clockwise to put down the mechanism and the LD tray is ejected out. We are going to explain necessary tools and the equipment for the adjustment. You need a LD test disc, GGB1012, and a CD test disc, STD902. Other than that, you need the necessary types of screwdrivers, oscilloscope, and the TV monitor. Next, we are going to explain how to turn on the test mode. While shorting the jumper wires of the shake and the ground in the main board, turn the power on to enable the test mode. The test pins used for the adjustment are located in the main board, and you can hook up the scope to the test pins with a tray located inside. We are going to explain how the remote functions in the test mode. First of all, the scan key to move the slider, the multi-speed plus key to turn the tilt servo on, the multi-speed minus key to turn the tilt servo off, the play key to turn the tracking servo on and off repeatedly, plus 10 key to prepare for the search, the pause key to make a still picture, and the stop key to make a stop. After turning the test mode on with no disc loaded in, you can adjust the tilt offset with the VR607 pot. In the test mode screen, pay attention to the figure in the T section and adjust the VR607 pot so that the figure is adjusted between 6 and 8. Before starting the tangential adjustment, since you play a CD disc for the adjustment, move the pickup to the CD program area with the scan key. Then, with the multi-speed plus key, turn the tilt servo on. With the play key pressed once, start playing with the tracking servo off. With the play key pressed once again, turn the tracking servo closed. Hook up the scope to TP3, which is RF. Once you observe the RF signal on the scope, move the pickup to the screwdriver hole in the clamper holder. After that, put the screwdriver through the hole to adjust the tangential screw. Please perform the adjustment so that the waveform of RF becomes clear and its amplitude becomes maximum. Hook up the scope to TP9, which is tracking error. While playing a CD test disc with the tilt servo on and the tracking servo off, adjust the spindle centering screw with a blade screwdriver so that the waveform of the tracking error becomes clear and its amplitude becomes maximum. Here is one point tip for the precise spindle motor centering adjustment. Hook up the X channel of the scope to TP9, which is tracking error, and hook up the Y channel to the tracking SAM created from TP1 and the TP2 through the 10 kilo registers at each side. In the XY mode, adjust the spindle centering screw so that you can make the figure on the scope as flat as possible. First of all, with the scan key, move the pickup to the LD program area. With the multi-speed plus key, turn the tilt server on. With the play key, start playing with the tracking server open. With the play key, pressed once again, close the tracking loop. With the pause key, freeze the picture. With the plus 10 key, prepare for the search and enter the frame number 115. Then press the play key to make a search. By observing this crosstalk picture, adjust the VR607 port to eliminate the crosstalk appearing in the right and the left of the screen. In the XY mode of the scope, hook up the scope to TP6, which is focus area, and short TP7 of focus in to the ground. In this status, put in the LD test disk and press the play key to start the focus operation. Because the focus in is grounded, the disk won't turn, but the focus operation continues, which you can see on the scope. Adjust the focus server gain with the VR604 to make the amplitude of the signal into the range of 4.8 plus minus 0.5 volt. In the XY mode of the scope, hook up the scope to TP9, which is tracking error, and load the LD test disk in. With the multi-speed plus key, turn tilt server on. With the play key, start playing with the tracking server open. With the play key pressed once again, close the tracking server loop. With the pause key to free the picture. With the plus 10 key, prepare for the search and enter the frame number 115. Then press the play key to make a search. In this status, adjust the tracking server gain with the VR603 to make the amplitude of the signal into the range of 1.8 plus minus 0.2 volt. Hook up the scope to TP3 of RF and play a LD test disk at the frame number 115 with a still mode. In this status, measure the RF signal to verify whether or not the RF amplitude is within the range from 280 to 630 mV. Although it depends on the pickup itself, the RF amplitude is usually located in the vicinity of 400 mV. Starting with this model, self-diagnostic function is newly available on the LaserDisc players. The error code is displayed like this both on the front display and the TV monitor. Once you press any key on the front panel, you can erase the error code. If you want to recall the erase the error code, keep on pressing the display key on the remote for about 10 seconds until the error code shows up. Once the power cord is unplugged, you cannot recall the error code anymore because there is no memory backup for the error code. We are going to explain examples of the error code in the following. When you put the disk on the tray with a little off from the center and load the disk in, once you play it, the disk will be misclamped. At the same time, the error code U1 is displayed and the disk is ejected out. This is called misclamp error. When you put the CD disk and the LD disk together like this and play them together, the error code F5 is displayed because the focus lock gets unlocked on the way from the LD position to the CD position in the initial focus operation. The error code starting with F is called focus error. First of all, to make a failure in the slider operation, the pickup cable is disconnected. In this condition, once you turn the power on, the pickup won't move to complete the initialization of the slider position. As a result, the error code E3 is displayed. The error code starting with E is called slider error. To make a failure in the loading operation, the loading belt is removed from the motor pulley. In this condition, once you open the tray won't open, and the loading operation comes to the time over. As a result, the error code L2 is displayed. The error code starting with L is called the slider error. Regarding the slider error, you cannot recall the error code after it is erased. A LD disk is played with a main board which has a failure in generating the playback sync. Because there is no playback sync necessary to function the spindle servo normally, the error code P5 is displayed. The error code starting with P is called spindle error. To make a FD related failure, the FD holder is removed along with the FD board. In this condition, once a CD disk is played, the error code U0 is displayed, which shows FD error. At the LD disk startup, when you put down the cloth on the rotating disk to reduce the rotation speed, the rotation speed won't reach 1200 RPM for a certain time. That creates the partial short error H1. When the partial short error happens, that may be caused by defect of the spindle motor. When the H1 error code shows up, you cannot erase it with a key on the front panel. Once the power code is unplugged and plugged back, the H1 error code can be erased completely. The H1 error code will go off automatically after the related failure is fixed. The first digit of loading, slider, spindle, and the focus error code indicates each mechanism mode, as shown in this video. We are going to explain operational flowchart in the next. Let us start with the power on operation. After the power on, the pickup moves to LD disk sense position. At that time, the pickup moves to turn inner switch off and outer switch off to locate the pickup at the ld-decode sense position. Then, disk rotation check is done. At that time, the CPU confirms if the spindle motor stops completely by detecting FZ signal at pin 37 of mechanism control CPU. Then, tilt neutral position is done in the initial operation of mechanism. The loading motor rotates to put the loading mechanism in the tilt neutral position. In this status, switch 1 is on, switch 2 is off, switch 3 is on in the tilt neutral position. After that, ld-decode sense is done. Focus operation starts at the ld-decode sense position. If the focus is locked, the loaded disk is detected as a LD disk. At the same time, LD is displayed on the front display. In case the focus is locked, the sequence goes to LD setup, but if the focus is not locked, the sequence goes like this, and the pickup moves to CD disk sense position. At that time, the pickup moves to turn inner switch on and outer switch off. After that, CD disk sense is done. At the time, the focus is locked. If the focus is locked, the loaded disk is detected as a CD disk. At the same time, CD is displayed on front display. If the focus is locked, the sequence goes to CD setup. If the focus is not locked, the sequence goes down, and the pickup moves to LD disk sense position once again. After that, the sequence ends up with eject waiting, with no disk displayed on the front display. In case of LD setup, first, focus on is done. LD on and the focus on are activated at the same time. Then, focus lock is done. At the time, XFOK signal turns to low, and that is confirmed by mechanism control CPU at pin 38. If the focus lock is not achieved, the tray will be ejected. After that, spindle run and tilt server on are activated at the same time. ACC count signal turns to high, and the disk rotation is accelerated until it reaches at 1530 RPM. After that, misclamp detection is done. If 512 or more tracks are crossed in 1/8 rotation of the disk, the CPU will regard this status as misclamp and eject the tray. After that, tracking on and slider server on are activated at the same time. At that time, T-off signal turns to low, indicating that tracking loop is closed. After that, disk size detection is done. The disk size is detected, determined by the time required to reach at 1200 RPM. because you have three types of the LD disc: 8-inch single-sided, 8-inch double-sided, and 12-inch double-sided discs. They vary the disc weight according to types of the disc. That makes a difference in the time required to reach at a certain speed. After that, spindle lock is done. When the spindle is locked, TBC lock turns to high at the pin 56 of mechanism control CPU. Regarding this sequence, if the spindle servo is not locked within the 60 seconds, the operation will stop. After the spindle is locked, CAV or CLB detection is done by reading the Phillips code. The Phillips code data is coming to the mechanism control CPU at pin 38. After that, in case the LD disk has TOC data, TOC is read. That is done by reading the subcode data at the pin 15 of the mechanism control CPU. After that, chapter 1 or frame 1 is searched. Then video scales is released to start playing. In case of CD setup, first, focus on is done. LD on and the focus on are activated at the same time. Then, focus lock is done. At that time, XFOK signal turns to low. That is, focus OK signal coming to mechanism control CPU at pin 38. If the focus lock is not achieved, the tray will be ejected. Then, tilt servo on is done. Tilt servo is activated in the initial period only in playing a CD disc. After that, spindle run is activated. Spindle run is activated by ACC count signal turning to high. The motor is accelerated with weak acceleration in case of CD. After that, FG detection is done. After 1/8 rotation, FG is detected to confirm the motor rotation. Timer out is 5 seconds. After that, tracking on and slider servo on are activated. At that time, T-off signal turns to low. That indicates tracking loop is closed. After that, spindle lock is done. At that time, FSEQ signal coming from DSP turns to high, and that is confirmed by the mechanism control CPU at pin 60. Then, subcode is read. Subcode data, which is SQ out, is coming from the DSP and read by mechanism control CPU at pin 15. Then TOC is read. TOC data is same as the data of subcode. So once the TOC is read, Then the sequence end up with the play key waiting status.